We live in the most convenient era in human history. Every pain point has been engineered out of daily life. Temperature is regulated, food is abundant, communication is instantaneous, and boredom is easily neutralized by a device in your pocket. This radical ease, however, is a profound threat to your potential. Comfort is killing your potential. The irony is that this relentless pursuit of comfort, this desire to eliminate all friction, is precisely what generates the epidemic of anxiety, fragility, and emotional collapse we see today. The Level 1 man views difficulty as a curse and flees from it. The Level 2 man, the disciplined man, seeks it out. The Stoic understands that the only way to build an iron mind is to systematically expose it to the very things it seeks to avoid. This is the comfort paradox. Ease creates weakness, chosen difficulty forges strength. When you live a life of unchecked convenience, your will, the muscle responsible for overriding immediate desire for long-term good, atrophies. When real, involuntary suffering inevitably arrives, your mind is a soft, untrained organ, incapable of enduring the shock. You spiral, not because the event is inherently devastating, but because your capacity for endurance is zero. The Stoics, particularly Seneca, viewed life as a constant training ground. They understood that you must train your mind to handle what is possible so that you are never shocked by what is actual. If you want to be unconquerable, you must make yourself familiar with the conditions of defeat while you are safe. I learned this truth in my own journey. For years, success meant buying more convenience. The easier travel, the better service, the less friction. But this convenience was a gilded cage. It masked my internal fragility. When I lost my health and a business relationship due to burnout, I realized my success was built on a foundation of sand, because the foundation itself, my character, had become soft and unprepared for a setback. The transformation began when I deliberately introduced friction. I began to practice voluntary discomfort, the purposeful choice of hardship when ease is available. This is not self-flagellation, it is rational conditioning. It is the daily act of strengthening your will by proving to your mind that you are the commander, and that discomfort is not a barrier to your action. A practical habit. Identify one convenience in your morning routine that you cherish. For the next 24 hours, intentionally choose the harder path. This small choice is the first deposit into your courage bank. Reflective question. What one modern convenience are you currently relying on that, if suddenly removed, would cause you the most disproportionate emotional panic? The Stoic relationship with suffering is profoundly counterintuitive. It is a philosophy that mandates you not just accept hardship, but actively embrace it as the necessary forge of character. The Stoics make a critical distinction between involuntary hardship and voluntary hardship. The Level 1 man reacts poorly to both. The Level 2 man accepts the former with rational resignation and pursues the latter with rational zeal. Seneca, the Roman statesman and philosopher, was immensely wealthy, yet he would periodically practice voluntary poverty. He would wear the roughest clothes, eat the cheapest food, and sleep on the hard floor for several days at a time. He did this not out of spiritual penance, but as an inoculation. He wanted to prove to himself and his fragile mind two essential truths. 1. That the conditions of hardship are endurable. Set aside a certain number of days during which you shall be content with the scantiest and cheapest fare, with coarse and rough dress, and with the knowledge that you are considering whether that which you fear is really to be feared. 2. That true happiness is internal. He wanted to prove that his fundamental peace did not reside in his mansion, his fine dining, or his status. By removing those externals, he ensured his happiness was rooted in the only controllable good, his rational mind and his virtue. The power of voluntary discomfort lies in the choice. When you choose the difficulty, you are demonstrating to your mind that you are the one in command. When real suffering strikes, your mind references its training library. I remember this feeling. I chose to endure the sensation last week. It was merely uncomfortable, not fatal. I have the capacity to choose my response again. The suffering itself is just a sensation. The meaning you attach to it is what matters. The level 1 man attaches punishment or injustice. The Stoic attaches training and opportunity for virtue. The man who can face a freezing shower with calm resolve is fundamentally better prepared to face a brutal critique or a market downturn than the man who can only survive in climate-controlled environments. A practical habit. Commit to a small symbolic act of Senecan poverty once a month. For one day, eat only the simplest, cheapest food you can find. Remove all luxury items. Observe how your mind tries to rationalize its way out of the discomfort. Do not negotiate. Simply observe the feeling and proceed. Reflective question. If everything external you owned was suddenly taken away, what fundamental internal quality would you possess that would ensure your capacity to rebuild and maintain your inner peace? The most accessible and immediate way to train your will is through physical discomfort training. This type of hardship is excellent because it is objective, measurable, and requires an immediate, non-negotiable mental override of instinct. The cold shower is the philosopher's gym. It is a daily, self-imposed crisis that requires an act of courage and temperance within the first 5 seconds. The protocol. At the end of your normal shower, crank the water to the coldest setting. Do not negotiate. Step into it and stay there for a minimum of 60 seconds. The training. Your mind will scream for relief. The panic is your primitive brain fighting the non-essential discomfort. Your job is to observe the panic and use your breath as an anchor. The victory is not enduring the cold. The victory is the conscious override of impulse. You are telling your mind, I decide when this stops, not my reflex. Fasting is a powerful practice of temperance and self-control. It is training your body to be an obedient tool of your will, rather than a demanding master of your impulses. The practice. Incorporate a simple form of fasting, such as skipping breakfast. The training. The feeling of hunger is a classic level 1 trigger. The discomfort is merely a sensation. You train your mind to observe the hunger pangs and rationally decide, this feeling is not an emergency. It is a feeling I am choosing to postpone gratifying. My will is stronger than my stomach. Your exercise routine should be viewed less as a path to aesthetics and more as a daily test of your mental fortitude. The practice. Choose an exercise that forces you to confront the desire to quit. The final, brutal set of a lift. The last mile of a run. The maintenance of a painful yoga pose. The training. That moment you hit the wall is the philosophical moment of truth. You are not training muscle, you are training your will to endure. When you choose to do one more rep, or take one more step when every fiber of your being demands surrender, you are forging the iron mind. Specific weekly plan. Commit to 1 full day of simple fasting, 3 cold showers, and 2 workouts where you intentionally push past the point of comfort. A practical habit. Before your next difficult workout or physical task, mentally state your philosophical intention. This pain is not damage, it is a signal of growth. I choose to endure it to strengthen my will. Reflective question. How often do you allow the physical sensation of mild discomfort to dictate the end of a disciplined effort, and how would 60 seconds of endurance change that pattern? The fear of social discomfort, the fear of rejection, ridicule, or disapproval, is often the greatest chain that binds the level 1 man. This fear forces him to live a life governed by consensus, robbing him of his authenticity and preventing him from acting with genuine courage. The antidote is to intentionally introduce friction into your social interactions. One of the most profound acts of self-mastery is the ability to decline a request, invitation, or demand with clarity and without apology or elaborate justification. The practice. When a request is made that violates your values or time boundaries, respond with a simple, direct refusal. Thank you for the invitation, but I won't be able to make it. The training. The discomfort comes from the silence that follows and the anticipation of the other person's disappointment or subtle disapproval. Your ego screams, "Explain yourself. Justify your decision." Your disciplined mind must hold the line. You are training yourself to accept that your rational decision requires no external validation. Healthy boundaries are often met with resistance, tension, or subtle punishment. These moments are not a failure of your boundary, they are a test of your resolve. The practice. Clearly, state a boundary with a difficult family member or colleague. Example: I will only discuss this professional matter during business hours, or I will not listen to conversations that involve negative gossip. The training. When they resist or sulk, you must endure the discomfort of their negative reaction without reacting emotionally yourself. You are training your mind to understand that their emotional reaction is an external uncontrollable that does not negate your rational policy. The ultimate act of social discomfort training is consciously acting in a way that is aligned with your virtue, knowing it will be unpopular. I remember when I changed my consulting focus and walked away from massive, lucrative deals that violated my new standard of integrity. The disapproval from peers was intense. They called me foolish and naive. The pain was real, but enduring it built an immunity. I trained myself to choose my own internal conviction over the external reward. A practical habit. Identify one small social action you need to take this week that you know will generate mild, temporary friction. Commit to the action and the subsequent silence. Reflective question. What one thing are you currently allowing into your life, a commitment, a person, a conversation, purely because the discomfort of saying no is greater than the discomfort of doing it? While physical and social training conditions your will, emotional discomfort. Training conditions your mind to process difficult feelings rationally, preventing them from escalating into panic or anxiety. You train yourself to be an observer of emotion, not a slave to it. The modern impulse is to immediately distract ourselves from difficult emotions, anxiety, grief, fear, or profound sadness, with consumption, digital noise, or busy work. The Stoic intentionally does the opposite. The practice. When a strong negative emotion arises, set a timer for 10 minutes. Sit quietly and simply observe the sensation in your body and mind without judgment, without narrative, and without seeking immediate distraction. The training. You prove to your mind that the emotion is not a permanent threat. It is a wave that rises and falls. By watching it without reacting, you are practicing temperance and breaking the impulse-response loop. You realize, this feeling, while intense, is not defining me. I am observing it, and I retain my rational capacity. This practice is the preemptive exposure to emotional suffering. We covered this previously, but its role in discomfort training is critical. The practice. Spend a few minutes mentally contemplating the loss of something you cherish, your health, a loved one, your financial stability. The training. You willingly expose yourself to the emotional discomfort of loss in a controlled environment. When real loss or fear strikes, the sting is significantly diminished because you have already mentally processed the possibility. You are training your mind to endure the idea of suffering, so that the reality of it does not cause a psychological shockwave. The ultimate emotional discomfort training is the daily reflection on your own death. The practice. Acknowledge that today might be your last opportunity to act with virtue. The training. This creates the profound emotional discomfort of urgency. It eliminates procrastination and forces you to confront whether you are living your life according to your highest principles. The tension between your current action and the reality of limited time is a healthy, productive emotional discomfort that aligns your focus. A practical habit. The next time you feel a spike of anxiety or anger, immediately set a 2-minute timer. During those 2 minutes, your only task is to ask, where exactly is this feeling located in my body, and what is the single, non-controllable external event that triggered it? Do not try to solve the problem, just logically catalog the feeling. Reflective question. How many hours of low-level anxiety are you enduring daily because you refuse to spend 15 minutes consciously and rationally confronting the single worst-case scenario you fear? Lifestyle discomfort. Training is the intentional reduction of convenience in your physical environment. This is the practice of simplicity and self-sufficiency, ensuring you are not emotionally tethered to an overly complex, fragile way of living. The goal is to reduce your dependence on external goods, making you less vulnerable to market swings, theft, or loss. The practice. Reduce one area of consumption this week. Buy only the essentials at the grocery store, clear out one drawer of unnecessary items, or wear a simpler wardrobe. The training. You are training yourself to derive satisfaction from less. You are proving that your happiness is not dependent on the next acquisition or the maintenance of complex belongings. This builds internal fortitude against the endless cycle of desire. Intentionally choosing the difficult path when an easy one is available strengthens your will and resilience. The practice. Leave the car parked and walk or cycle to the nearby store. Handwrite an important letter instead of sending an email. Do a difficult chore manually instead of relying on a machine. The training. This reminds you that you are capable. It proves that your capacity to exert effort has not been eroded by convenience. It builds confidence that you can manage when the systems you rely on inevitably fail. Digital convenience is one of the greatest sources of emotional fragmentation. The constant stream of information and validation creates a brittle, dependent mind. The practice. Commit to a digital fast, a complete removal of non-essential digital stimulation for 24 hours. The training. The initial discomfort is severe. The phantom vibration, the urge to check. This is your addiction speaking. By enduring the silence and the boredom, you are forcing your mind back into a state of presence and internal dialogue. You reclaim the most valuable real estate, your own attention. A practical habit. Choose one area of digital consumption that you do reflexively. Implement a digital friction step. You must do 10 push-ups or write one paragraph of philosophy before you allow yourself to engage with that source of comfort. Reflective question. If all your digital devices were suddenly gone for a week, what fundamental skill or internal pursuit would you be forced to prioritize? And why are you not prioritizing it now? To move this from philosophy to ingrained habit, you need a structured, progressive plan. This is the 21-Day Discomfort Challenge, a systematic, progressive program designed to forge an iron mind by conquering fear and addiction to ease. The challenge is divided into 3 levels of increasing intensity. Your success is measured purely by your consistency and completion, not by the feeling you experience during the task. Day. Discomfort. Type. Task focus. 1-7. Physical. Daily 60-second cold shower at the end of your normal shower. 1-11. Emotional. Daily 5-minute memento mori meditation immediately upon waking. 1-7. Lifestyle. Implement digital friction on one app. Day. Discomfort. Type. Task focus. 8-14. Physical. Implement intermittent fasting for 4 non-consecutive days. 8-14. Social. Say no clearly and without explanation to 1 low-stakes request per day. 8-14. Emotional. Spend 10 minutes journaling one fear, then rationally disproving it. Day. Discomfort. Type. Task focus. 15-21. Lifestyle. 1-day digital fast. 24 hours without non-essential devices. 15-21. Social. Initiate 1 conversation per day that forces you to state an unpopular, rational opinion and endure the resulting tension. 15-21. Emotional. Sit with one specific recurring negative emotion for 15 minutes without distraction. Tracking system. Print out a simple 3-7 grid. Mark an X every day you complete the task. The goal is to see a perfect block of completion, proving to your mind that you are reliable and disciplined. A practical habit. Identify the single greatest challenge in the Level 3 phase. Commit to doing that one thing first on day 1 to prove to your mind that you are serious about this training. Reflective question. Which single day in the Level 3 phase are you most afraid of? And how will the courage gained from conquering that fear immediately translate into success in a different area of your life? We have dissected the necessity of voluntary discomfort and provided a clear, actionable path through the 21-day challenge. We covered the comfort paradox, Seneca's philosophy of poverty practices, and the 4 types of necessary training: physical, social, emotional, and lifestyle discomfort. The man who fears suffering is the man who suffers most. The man who willingly confronts and endures manageable hardship trains his will, fortifies his mind, and becomes immune to the psychological shocks of life. Your commitment to discipline must be fierce, because the siren call of comfort is constant. Do not wait for a crisis to reveal your weakness. Choose to train your strength today. Every cold shower, every difficult no, every endured moment of boredom is a deposit into your unshakable character. The virtue of hardship is that it leaves you with the quiet, rational confidence of the man who knows. If I can choose this difficulty, I can endure any difficulty. Begin the 21-day discomfort challenge tomorrow. Would you like me to generate a simple, printable tracking grid for the 21-day discomfort challenge?